you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre, McGuire, and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years, Raymond Moore
The sickest NHL podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition, our final daily edition of this season here on the Eye Test on the Sick Podcast Network. He is Pierre McGuire. I am Jimmy Murphy. Pierre, how are you, my friend?
Very well, Jimmy. I hope you're doing fantastic. I want to say we're thinking of your friend Jeff. I know it's been a long day for you, battling in the hospital right now. And me, my family, all my friends, I've let them know, and we're thinking of you and Jeff right now.
I appreciate that, Pierre. Thank you.
Yeah.
Pierre, we said it yesterday. Don't worry about Will Cooley. He will sign. And sure enough, I think it was late last night, early this morning, he did sign with the Rangers. But still, when we look at the New York Rangers, Pierre, we'll start here, and then we're going to get right into questions. Do we still know what or who they are yet, or what they're trying to push towards? Like, what is the identity you think they're trying to get to?
Well, I think they're trying to get to be a younger, faster team.
Mm-hmm.
They're not there yet. I think that's what they're trying to establish. We'll see as they go forward. A lot still has to happen. There's still one real big chip in the game left, and Nikolai Ehlers. I think you would agree with that. I don't know if New York's in on that or not. I have a hard time believing that. I'd see more like Washington maybe being in, more like Carolina being in.
Yeah.
Maybe a team like Anaheim. I don't know. Maybe.
I said to you, I think Toronto should try and poke around on that.
And you did. I was just going to go, Jimmy. I was just going to say, Jimmy has been telling me that maybe Toronto should get in there. So I don't know, Jimmy. But what I would say, and I'm comfortable saying this, whomever gets him gets a good piece of the game. They get an important part of the game.
Pierre, am I wrong? Would the word dependable be a good word for him?
Actually, that's a perfect word for him, because you know what you're getting every single night.
You don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
You never have to worry about it. Never, ever, ever. You know exactly what you're getting every single night, and that is big time.
Yep. Good stuff there. All right. And we'll keep our eyes open if there's any more signings. Been kind of a quiet day, a lot of depth moves being made, Pierre, but I think people are taking a little breather, reevaluating right now. But like, as we continue to tell our listeners and viewers, I do anticipate, maybe after the holiday, some trades. Once people kind of are able to step back and reassess everything, get that done, and then they can finally take their summer break if they have one.
So, but it's a good point. So what's happened mostly today, a lot of American League contracts are getting put out. A lot of East Coast League contracts are getting put out. A lot of European contracts, believe it or not. This is it's a good day for a lot of people because they're getting jobs. It's a tough day for some because they're finding out where they wanted to go work. Maybe they don't have a job anymore. But today's a big day for a lot of the younger players around hockey who are getting opportunities to take the next step.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Well, let's get into the Q&A, because I know we had a lot left when we had to get off the air yesterday, and we appreciate all your questions. It was amazing. Shane, our great producer, wrote a message to us backstage there saying, we still got like 25 left. So I hope you still have them there. If you've changed your mind, you want to ask another one, go for it. But let's rock and roll. Let's just tell you quickly about that Betway. All right. I went there. They're starting to update their futures for next year. I think the more these rosters settle, you'll see more hockey bets and props available. But like I said, there's tons of baseball stuff going on right now, lots of soccer. So get over there right now. If you're a new member, you can bet up to $200 and get that back in credit, even if you lose. So go to the QR code right in front of you right now, or to the details section on the website, create your account, and redeem your welcome offer. Remember, you must be 18 plus. Always bet responsibly. Terms and conditions apply. And one of those terms is it is not available in Ontario. All right. What do we got here? Costa. What's up, Costa? Costa's an old friend of mine from Montreal, Pierre, from the West Island. I know the KHL is not the NHL, but given the lack of options for a 2C, would the Canadians be crazy to offer a 2 or 3 year contract to Kuznetsov, or maybe just a PTO?
I would not approach that player. I just don't think he's the right fit for what Montreal's doing right now. And that's not a knock. I like Evgeny. I've known him a long time. I think he in his day was a magnificent talent. He had some really good runs in the KHL this year. There's no question about it. I just, at this point, I think the Canadians should probably go in another direction. Doesn't mean they will. They may choose to do that. I can tell you, Nick Bobrov's unbelievably close with the people in Scott in St. Petersburg.
Yes.
So I don't know what direction they go, but I think they could probably find something on this side of the Atlantic.
Yeah, I'm with you, Pierre. And again, not a knock on a player. There will be a fit for him somewhere. I just don't think in terms of what Montreal's been building there and forming, they'll go another route there. We'll see. All right, next question. A moment of clarity. Hi, will teams use their LTIR the same way, or are they worried about an investigation? What would the repercussions be?
There's going to be a clampdown on the LTIR, and we're going to see it right now. Alex Pietrangelo is going on LTIR, and he may even retire. We'll see how he feels.
By the way, that was sad to read that letter he posted, Pierre. I forgot to bring that up.
Because that's the kind of man he is. He's an amazing human.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic person. He's a great father. He's an awesome husband. He's a great teammate. You know, I've seen him have the highest of highs, and I've seen him have some pretty lows, big lows. And I've always been a fan of him. We've had a fantastic relationship over the years. I saw him go from being a world junior player to a player that was rushed into the NHL, that got clobbered in Toronto one night, and they sent him back to junior, embarrassed him. Then he goes and plays in the world junior and kind of resuscitates his whole career in Ottawa in 2009, and then he just took off.
Yeah.
But I've seen him have the highest of highs, and I've seen him have the lowest of lows, and I think yesterday was probably a pretty tough day for him. And you know what? He just showed the kind of man he is. Just
the fact that, I mean, he looks at it and says, hey, I got kids, I got a family. I need to be able to live my life past hockey. And I've never been in those shoes, Pierre. You've been there as a hockey player, and you know so many hockey players that have, and it's got to be one of the toughest decisions to make.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, next question. Juice _031-017. What can you tell us about Mark Delgaizo? Just signed with the Canadiens organization today.
I know a lot about him. He's from the state of New Jersey, went to the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, one of Coach Carville's favorites, watched him play a ton. And what I would say is he's got heart, he's got character, he's got courage, he's a smart player, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Nothing cute, nothing super fancy.
Yep.
Just a solid, reliable player, more like a depth player for an organization.
Right.
A guy that if he comes up, will play and play very well for you.
Yep. Pierre, and I'm not, obviously I'm biased with UMass, and I'm proud to be a UMass alum, but I'm not just saying this because of that. Have you noticed a trend of, in terms of a lot of the players that are being signed by NHL clubs or drafted coming out of UMass, I find a common thread of everything you just said. It's all about character. It's all about dependability. And obviously, you know, that's a lot of the work at Greg Carville, but it must be great for Carvey to see this, you know, like to see that's why they're going out and that's why they're getting my players. Have you noticed that?
I'm so proud of Greg. Yes, I have noticed it. I'm really proud of you for saying it the way you did. When I recruited Greg Carville back in 1988 to come play at St. Lawrence, it wasn't about him being the best player, the most dominant player. It was about him being the kid that had the most character, the most integrity, the most amazing hockey IQ. He was a phenomenal recruit. We got him early, and he came to us, and they won 2 championships when he was there. They were a nationally ranked team. I mean, they were phenomenal. When I went to Pittsburgh, I told Greg, I said, look, this breaks my heart. He was the first guy I called. I called him from the draft in Vancouver. I said, look, I just taken a job with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Wow.
And it breaks my heart that I'm not going to be there to see all 4 of your years. But if I have a chance, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to draft you.
That's awesome.
I said, I've already talked to Scotty Bowman about it. And when we had the chance at the supplemental draft to draft Greg, we did.
That's great.
You know what? We left Pittsburgh, so he kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit.
Right.
But you know what? He's just an amazing hockey guy. I think so much of him, and I always will think a lot of him. And we still talk probably once a week, twice a week, whatever. I try not to bug him in the summer.
Well, he's been pretty happy and proud of his players. I've been watching him on social. He's doing that.
He should be. He should be.
And Pierre, one more thing on that too. Is a scout, when you got to the NHL and you're in hockey ops and scouting, are there schools you identify that generate the same type of players? So you say, okay, UMass has got that type of player we just discussed. Let's say, for example, BU's got more finesse guys, or Harvard's got this guy. Do they look at it that way?
A lot of times they did back when I started. I think it's changed a little bit now, but you knew if you went to BU, you were going to get guys who were really well trained by Jack Parker and Ben Smith. You just knew they were. So you were getting more of a refined player. It could be Tony Amonte. It could be Sean McEachran. It could be Walt Tkachuk, Big Keith Tkachuk. It could be Mike Sullivan. It could be Phil Von Stefanelli. It could be Scott LaChance. I'm just giving you names of former BU guys. You know, or if you wanted flash and dance, you could go to Dakota, where Gino Gasparini was coaching. Or you go to the University of Minnesota, where Doug Woog was coaching right after Herb Brooks. Like, there were a lot of places you go to find different players. You go to Denver, where Ralph Backstrom was coaching, the late Ralph Backstrom, and find players there. So Ron Mason in Michigan State, you know, usually when you got a kid out of there, they were going to be ready to play. Yeah. So that was kind of more of how we did it back then. I think it's changed a little bit now.
Yeah, it's a mixture now. All right, let's go to the next question. A Moment of Clarity asks, as a coach, how do you keep the Panthers focused all year with the Olympics and maybe losing the underdog advantage? It's a great question.
The great question. They're going to have a lot of guys at the Olympics, just like they had a lot of guys at the Four Nation event. And I was concerned about that, and I think I got that wrong. I was really concerned that would be probably the breaking point for them. Yeah, and clearly didn't do well with that, because that actually brought them together. They didn't have Tkachuk. They lost Ekblad, obviously, to the PED situation. So they were able to use LTIRs. The one thing I will say, they used LTIR really well on Tkachuk because they were able to get Seth Jones.
And Brad Marchand.
So, like, we got to look at that, too. That hasn't really been talked about very much.
No. Won't be able to do that next year.
No, that stuff's out. But do I think they'll be able to keep their focus? Yes, because they're mature. If they were an immature group and guys that didn't know how to win, I'd be worried. But this is a mature group. And they all took haircuts to stay there.
Yeah.
3 guys took haircuts to stay.
Pierre, by no means am I knocking them for celebrating and all the partying they've been doing. Because
too much, though, Jimmy.
I'd be doing a lot of it.
Too much.
Okay, so is it Bill Zito? Is it Paul Maurice? Does somebody say, "Hey guys, let's pump the brakes. Let's get into recouping right now, and then we're going to start working out"? Like, at what point do you know when to kind of nudge them a little to do that?
I think this is where you do.
Okay.
I think this is where the upper echelon of the group doesn't allow Paul Maurice to get involved in that decision, because it doesn't allow, the general manager, Bill Zito. This is something where you have somebody just below ownership, just below upper management, and they've been given the blessing of upper management and ownership to say, hey, call Barkov, call Tkachuk, take him out for dinner. This is what we want. This is where we're going. This is what we have to do. This is the identity of our organization. Don't make it acrimonious. Don't make it mean-spirited. Nope. Just go in, have a nice dinner, talk about it, talk about the great success. But now, next season starts.
Yep, gotcha. All right,
that's
next
kind
question.
of what you have to do.
Goose again. Pierre, how missed we just discussed that, how missed will Alex Pietrangelo be on and off the ice for the Vegas Golden Knights this season? Huge.
No, they'll miss him. Now, I know a lot of people in Toronto are mad at Mitchell Marner. Mitchell Marner is going to help their team.
He's going to help them a lot.
He's going to help them. And one of the things going to help them out is on the penalty kill. Their penalty kill wasn't good last year. They're 26.
So glad you said that, Pierre.
26 in the league, that team.
Yep.
Power play was really good. Penalty kill was no good. So Marner's one of the better penalty killers in the league. That
does not get enough credit for that. Yep.
Does not.
Totally agree. It's baloney.
It is. So I think that's where Mitchell's going to help. They're going to miss him and they're going to. I'll tell you what, they're going to miss Nick Hague too.
Oh yeah.
Like, you can say whatever you want, and look at if anybody knows Jeremy Lazone, you know him better than anybody. He's a nice depth player. You would agree?
Yes.
He's not Alex Pietrangelo.
No, he's not. He's not.
And not even close. No. And I think the world of Colton Sissons. Like, I think Colton Sissons is a really good player, but he's not Will Carlson. He's not Tomas Hertl.
Right.
Not Jack Eichel. Okay, so Jimmy, I sent you something today that was sent to me about what the general manager in Vegas said. And I'm so glad he got mad at that.
Yeah, I'm with you, Pierre.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. So, obviously, I think, was it last week or the week before, when the bunch of Thomas Hertl rumors popped up because they were trying to – once people started to get the sense that Marner was going to Vegas, people are trying to say, oh, well, they're going to have to let go of this guy. But there were reporters, like what I just said is okay, right? Because I'm speaking as an opinion. There were reporters presenting that as fact. And Pierre, I actually had my Vegas person call me, and I wrote a story about it, kind of saying, they're not too happy about this, and it's not what everyone's saying out there. Are they going to have to make cap moves? Yeah, but nobody from the team said Thomas Hertl is out there because he has to be a cap casualty. And so McCrimmon went out there yesterday, I guess, at the Marner press conference, and said whoever the reporters are that did that should be ashamed of themselves.
So I'm going to back up the GM there. I know that group really well there.
Yep.
Management, upper management, ownership, coaches. Know them. If I need something, I'll call them. I saw that last week and I was like, no, that's not true.
Pierre, you were the first one I called. Remember, I said, is this for real?
Yeah, you did call, man.
And you're like, no, stay away from it.
Don't go near that.
Yep.
So anyways, long story short, I'm glad Kelly called them out on it. And I don't know who the guys were because I don't read that stuff. You're the one that tells me what to read.
I honestly don't know where it came from. But all I know is within hours, you saw some of the bigger names in our business, Pierre, like an Elliot Freeman or, Frank Saravelli were going out there saying, hey, look, this is from Vegas. This is BS. This is all BS.
So I'm just glad. I'm glad that Kelly did that. I really am.
Yeah. And speaking of, he was right. And look the way he did manage the cap, and he's going to have to do it a little more, I think. But he's doing a good job on that.
So they get $8.8 million of relief on Pietrangelo.
Right.
They trade Raw to Toronto. That's $3 million. So that basically pays Mariners 12 right there.
You're right.
No, but I mean, they still have other stuff they have to do. You can't just be up to the cap this early. You're going to have to sign other guys. Like the questioner was good. Who's going to replace Alex Pietrangelo? Well, I can tell you one thing. It's not going to be Jeremy Lauzon.
No. And I'll tell you guys too, just from, what I know of Lauzon. Look, he's an amazing physical player. He can really lay some thunderous hits.
He's like Simon Benoit with Toronto. That's what he's like.
It's like sometimes, Pierre, I almost feel like he commits too much to the hit instead of the play.
That's what Benoit does, but they reeled him in a little bit last year, I thought.
All right, next question. What do we got? Juice _031017. Pierre, if you're starting an NHL franchise today, which player would you do it with? Nick Suzuki or Tim Stützle?
So I know both, really respect both. And worked with Timmy. I would take Nick because I think there's a little more defensive side of the game. I think there's a little bit more awareness in his own zone compared to Timmy. Timmy's probably more explosive in open ice than Nick is. And I think Timmy can beat guys more one-on-one than Nick can. I don't know if Timmy's got the same peripheral vision as Nick, but I would probably take Nick just a little bit ahead of Timmy, but not by a lot. Timmy's a lot tougher than what people, especially people in Montreal, say. And Timmy's a great teammate. Nick's a great teammate. They're both good that way, but I think Nick's just a little ahead, Jimmy, but not by much. Not by much.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, I know people in Montreal might not think that was a hard question to break down there, but they are closer than I think people think. Yeah. All right, next question. Alex Ivanowski, I'm predicting a changing of the guard in the NHL for playoff teams in 26-27. Okay, so 2 years down the line. I think this year will look familiar, and then following new blood will take over permanently. Do you agree? I think that is a good assessment, but I do think we'll see some new teams in there this year.
I think Anaheim's
teams are going to drop out.
I think Anaheim's going to get in this year. I do.
Me too.
I'm staying with that, and if I'm wrong, I will say.
So let's just do it quick, Pierre, then. If we're looking at the standings from last year, who's dropping out in the West? Who do you think?
LA could.
I'm worried about that too. That's
LA,
exactly
LA. And I don't want to say that because Kenny's our friend and DJ Smith's a really good friend. I like Jimmy Hiller a lot. I think Kopitar is one for the ages kind of player. I think Doughty's the same. But I think they could be in trouble.
I do too.
Did you like what they did yesterday?
I don't. And, I know he watches. My friend Alex Smith is watching us probably right now. And him and I were going back and forth, and I was kind of defending the Kings a little. But then, as I told you this morning, Pierre, the more I look at what they did, I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't know what's going on there. I don't.
there were other directions they could have gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I understand Kenny knows Cece from Edmonton. I understand that. I totally understand that.
Yep.
And I know he knows Corey Perry from, not just Edmonton, but also internationally. He had Corey at Olympics when Kenny worked for Hockey Canada. I get all that. I understand all that.
Yeah.
But I might have gone in, like, I look at, what's the best way to say it? Mikael Granlund. Like, that was a fantastic signing by Pat Verbeek.
Yep.
That's for that team.
Yeah.
That's a really good signing. And I told you yesterday, like, I was there in 2014. Teemu Selanne mentored that guy. Unbelievable. Teemu's a rock star Anaheim Duck. He played for San Jose. He played for Colorado. He played for Winnipeg. I know all that stuff.
Yeah.
I was coaching in the league then. But he's a mighty Duck. And I know
I'm doing that story, Pierre.
Ducks,
I'm doing that story. Yep. I can't wait to do that story. It's a great, I love it. So it's great. That's a great connection there. And yeah,
I'm just surprised LA didn't try to get him. I'm just surprised.
Yeah. So I kind of agree with you. It's going to be like, they're bitter rivals out there. People think whatever, LA and no, they are hardcore rivals. And I think they're going to flip. I'm with you.
Yeah.
So, all right, next question. Pierre, the Isles special teams were atrocious last year. Have they added anyone to the team that can help them in that area?
Yeah, Schaefer can on the power play. They're going to miss Dobson on the power play, but Schaefer's really good.
Yep.
On the penalty kill, I think they got to get healthy. They got to stay healthy. I think, I know he retired. He's another friend, somebody I have so much respect for, Matt Martin. But, they lost Clutterbuck and Martin in back-to-back years. Now Cizikas is kind of an island unto himself. The power play should be better if Barzal stays healthy, I think. And Anders Lee can have a bounce back kind of a year. They got a lot going on there. We'll see. I like the additions to the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ray Bennett's really good.
Yeah.
He's really good. I'm just telling you. Ray Bennett's really good.
Yep.
So we'll see.
All right. Next question. What do we got? Anything? There we go. YouTube use. Oh, it's Judy. Hey, Judy. Question for Pierre. Do you think the Caps were a bit of smoke and mirrors last season? What do they need to do to prove that wrong?
I don't think they were smoke and mirrors.
About that a little, though. We were wondering about,
I don't think they were smoke and mirrors, though. They've just been quiet in the off season, which is kind of different.
Mm-hmm.
I think Leonard will be better next year. I think Wilson's going to have a lot of pop in his game because he's going to want to make the Olympic team.
Yep.
Dylan Strome had a great year last year. I just think he continues to go. It'll be interesting to see if Hendricks Lapierre makes a full-time go at keeping a job there. I worry a little about their depth and defense, but I think maybe they address that with a trade at some point this summer.
Or a more stay-at-home guy, right?
Yeah, more solid, robust defender kind.
Agreed.
Carlson's offense, Chikrin's offense. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think Washington was smoke and mirrors. Well coached and good goaltending.
Right.
Really good goaltending. Two really good goalies. So I think they'll be good. They've got some guys coming from Hershey too.
Yeah.
They're good. They're a good team.
The one thing too, Pierre, it's like I think sometimes, and maybe we can even look at the team they beat in the first round. Sometimes when teams like out of nowhere get good and they're kind of a year, 2 years ahead of where they thought they'd be, it almost surprises themselves, right? And they're almost like, whoa, what do we do here? We didn't plan on being here yet. I wonder if that's just kind of what we saw a little with them. They got through a first round, and I think, now they've got a little more maturity when it comes to that. So
fair, good point.
Yeah. One other thing too, you mentioned Leonard. Congratulations to his brother John. Got signed by the Red Wings. I saw that.
Well, Johnny we talked about this. Johnny had an unbelievable run in the American Hockey League playoffs. I know we talked about it on the show. I think, and he's another UMass guy, out of Springfield. I think he makes Detroit.
Are you surprised that the Florida let them out of their organization?
No, they just don't have enough room for any of these kids.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. So here's what I'd say. They don't have enough room, and it's hard to be a young player in an organization where most 10 of your guys are signed up till 2030. You're kind of shut out. So they don't want to ruin the mojo in their American League situation either.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of why they let some guys go.
Gotcha. Well, good pickup by Detroit, I think. All right, next question. Alex Evanowski again. What would you do if, speaking of Detroit, what would you do if you were Steve Eisman? Don't trade from the prospect pipeline for a guy like Robinson, or do you wait it out for another year before trading assets?
They got to make the playoffs this year, don't they?
You got to go all in.
They got to go. I think they got to push all the chips into the table.
Yep, I'm with you.
I mean, they haven't played a playoff game in Detroit since 2016, and they haven't played. And I told this to Jimmy, they haven't played a playoff game in Little Caesars Arena ever.
At all.
Ever.
At all. Ever. That's amazing.
So no, look. This can't be sitting well with the Illich family. I'm
No.
sorry. A rebuild takes a certain amount of time.
Yep.
I'll cede you that, but it doesn't take a decade.
No.
It shouldn't.
No.
Not so. Jimmy Devellano's got to be angry. Steve Eisman's got to be angry. They've lost a lot of guys, scouts, to other teams. Verbeek left. He's in Anaheim.
Yep.
Joe McDonnell's down in Dallas. Mark Leach went to Dallas and now is in Toronto running their scouting.
Right.
Then I can go down the line ad nauseum. Tyler Wright's gone. Kenny Holland's gone.
Right.
They've lost a lot of brain power from there.
And Pierre, how many coaches now since 2016?
Oh my gosh.
Got to be at least 5, right?
Well, Blashill was there. Blashill took a lot of the slings and arrows.
I'm going to look that up.
Blash was there a long time, Jimmy. A lot longer than you think. So it wasn't as many as you think.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, he was there for a while. Let's see. Blashill, you're right. Blashill lasted the longest. He went 2016 to 2022.
Yeah, it's long.
And then Derek Lalonde took over, went 2 years, and then Tom McClellan.
Yeah, so it's
there you
three.
go.
But
Three.
Blashill was
Okay.
there long, and you know what? He's a good soldier. He took it right on the chin. Like his record is bad. It's not his fault. He's a good coach. I think he'll help Chicago. I do. I think he'll help Chicago.
I do too. I think he's a good developer, if I'm not mistaken.
He's a
here,
good
right?
developer. He won the Calder Cup down in Grand Rapids. He did a great job in college as a coach, both as a head coach and an assistant. He coached in the USHL in Indianapolis with the Indianapolis Ice. He was a GM and coach, did a good job there. He's a good coach. He's orchestrated. He's well-spoken. He's not going to break kids' spirits. He's a good coach.
Gotcha. All right, next question. Juice again. Pierre, I know you love where Montreal Canadiens organization is going, but do you believe the team's best years to win the Stanley Cup? Or when do you believe the team's best years to win the Stanley Cup will be?
So I don't think they're winning the Cup this year. I think they become a competitor a year down the road, and it's the year after where I think it becomes very realistic for them.
All right, next question. Brad K. How did Tom Fitzmagic get Jake from Save the Farm to resign below free agency market value to re-sign? Let's go Devils.
Well, part of it is Jake doesn't want to move. And
He's happy.
Jake, you get to New Jersey, people go to New Jersey and they say, well, it's just Newark and it's a New Jersey Turnpike
And the Jersey Shore.
Terrible players in the swamp. They have to live in the swamp. No, New Jersey's a beautiful state once you get away from I-95.
It's a lot of money.
There's some beautiful. You go to Bergen County and you go up to Franklin Lake, or you go to Wyckoff, or you go to Oradell, or you go to Demarest, or you go to Cresskill, or you go to Englewood, you go to Alpine, New Jersey. I'm just telling you, you go down to Essex County, you go down to where all these beautiful towns are at the shore. There's a lot of nice places in Jersey.
And Pierre, if anyone out there, and our young ones might not get this, that's how old I'm getting. But if you want an example of what Pierre's saying, watch the intro to The Sopranos. It's a perfect example because they start in Newark and they come out and they go into the suburbs and all the houses turn to mansions. And so that's exactly what he's talking about.
A lot of those old Devils, like Kenny Danico still lives in Jersey. Bruce Driver still lives in Jersey. Johnny McClain still there. A lot of the guys are still in Jersey. Brodeur still got a place there. I mean, you start. They all just look at if Jersey was so bad, why would they stay?
Exactly.
They all stay. It's a pretty
exactly. And I think a lot of the players, Pierre, if I'm not mistaken, over like the last 10 years, have been moving to like Hoboken too, like the young ones, right?
Well, Zach Parise had a beautiful place in Hoboken. I had the privilege of going there a couple times.
Wow.
He had a night, and I think he kind of started. Andy Green, Andy.
Okay. Yep.
Andy, longtime former Devil captain. He still lives there. He buys cars for my brother. So there are a lot of those Jersey guys.
There you go.
Out of state, but they stay when they're done.
Good stuff. All right. Next question. moment. We should close the show with Bruce after that conversation. All right, a moment of clarity. Is Brady going to Florida no matter what happens in Ottawa? Will brothers always try to play with each other?
I don't think so. I think Brady's really excited what's going on in Ottawa. I still think they need help on the right side of their defense. I've been saying this to you for 2 years. They're trying to do it. They'll have to address it a little bit more aggressively. Keeping Giroux's going to help them. I know they've made a couple little tweaks with their team, keeping Nick Cousins. I think the Ottawa will be a playoff team this year, don't you think?
What's Brady got left, Pierre? 2 years?
No, Brady's got
still a lot longer, right?
He's got at least 4 or 5 5 years left, I think.
Well, you would know. You signed it, my friend.
Yeah, I think I signed 8 years, so it'd be 5 years left.
You're exactly right. Pierre, the only team I like, one team I always thought he might end up with, and obviously because of the family connections, is the Devils. Because I think that's a type of player they need so much, but I don't think that's ever.
I always thought in my heart of hearts, St. Louis.
Because of where he grew up. Yeah.
I always thought that it wasn't that we wanted to move him there, but we got to the point. I know we had internal conversations where it was, if we weren't going to get him signed, we were going to go pick St. Louis clean and say, really, but Brady's too good. Like, why would you want to lose Brady?
No.
So that's what I mean. So Peter McTavish did a great job with us. He's an agent now. And he was a great teammate. I loved working with Peter, an awesome, awesome man to work with. And one time we were having a tough time with the negotiation. He said, we should compromise with these guys from Newport and meet them halfway. It was a brilliant idea. So they drove from Mississauga to Belleville, and we drove from Ottawa to Belleville. It's about the equidistant.
Beautiful. And
we all met there, and we met in the dressing room in Belleville and probably got it done in a couple hours.
Yeah, sometimes it's all it takes.
That was Peter's idea.
So there was literally a physical compromise, too.
Yeah, it was everything. Like, we all had to get together. And there was one thing said, and I didn't like it, so I kind of piped up, and they said, you know what, we see why you'd be mad at that. And then we said something as a staff that they didn't like, and we were like, okay, we see why you didn't like that. And eventually we met in neutral ground.
That's perfect.
And it worked. And that was Peter McTavish's idea. It was a really good idea.
All right. Next question. Alex Ivanowski, everyone knows about McKenna next year, but how deep is the rest of the class? I ask because if you're a rebuilding team, isn't it worth the wait to see how this year goes before trading draft capital?
It's going to be a very good class next year. Very good class.
That's why you don't see a lot of those getting traded, Alex, right now.
All around the world. It's not just Canada or the U.S. It's going to be everywhere. Sweden, Finland, Russia, Czechoslovakia. Could have some Swiss in there. No, it's a good year. You know what's funny, Jimmy? Everybody knows about McKenna now. Did they know about him when we started talking about him 2 years ago?
Not many. Maybe just the real hardcore junior guys, but
that's about it.
Yeah. By the way, our good friend Mike McMahon, Pierre reported earlier today, speaking of McKenna, he says he may be nearing an NCAA decision.
So it's down to two, Penn State and Michigan State.
That's what I had heard too. Okay.
So he went and visited both schools on the weekend. Both are great. I'm not even gonna.
Oh yeah, both are great teams.
They're both good programs. They're both good teams.
Great coaches.
Really good coaches. I know Guy better, Godowski, because I coached them and worked with him in Prince Edward Island.
I'm on the iTest.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting. But either way, he's a special player. He's going to probably do in college hockey what Celebrini did when he was at BU. Probably a lot the same. Very similar.
Hate to see me says, why not Concordia?
Hey, Concordia's a good school. Back in the day, they produced NHL players back in the day. Yeah. They really did.
They called the Hornets. Was that their name? When the Stingers? Yeah, I knew it was something with about a B. All right, next question. Juice, how important is it for the Canadians to go on a run in the playoffs over the next 3 to 4 years to show free agents that Montreal is a destination?
I think they're already doing that.
I think they're learning it right now.
Juice. I think they're doing it.
Yeah,
I agree with Jimmy. I think they're doing that now.
Yep. All right, next question. Faux fum. Hey guys, who has the harder shot, Dobson or Bouchard?
I think Bouchard does.
I do too.
Pure velocity, I think Bouchard does. Not by a lot, but I think Bouchard does.
All right, next question. Renaissance Resistor. Apparently, Sorelli is being rumored to go to Montreal. Is he the answer for 2C?
100%. 100%.
I haven't heard that, but if that's the case,
heard that
go
either.
get him.
If that's legit, go get him right now.
Pierre loves that player. Pierre loves that player.
When he first came in the league, I said it on an NBC broadcast, I said, this kid's going to be a superstar. And one of my confreres on the air said, are you sure? And I said, I'm down here, and I'm telling you right now, this guy's going to be a star player in the league.
Oh, yeah.
When he was a kid, he was like 19 years old.
Yeah.
You could tell this guy had jam, skating, his hockey sense was exquisite, fearless, good on
he would be
shots,
perfect for the Habs. Perfect.
Go do it now.
If the Habs do that,
and go help them. I'll go drive down there and pick them up and drive them back.
If they do that, give the Gregory to Hughes already. All right, next question. Franco, what holes in the Anaheim Ducks have besides in net defense? I'm a Habs fan, but their roster makes me think we're further than we think. Also, we keep forgetting about Seneke. Does he play in the AHL or NHL this year?
It's going to be tight on the NHL. It's going to be tight, and I don't think Verbeek wants to rush him.
Yeah,
but
he's the right.
He will play in the NHL. I think they're going to give him some development time.
And you agree with me on D?
Oh yeah. Well, it's just they're young.
Yeah,
they're young. They need a little more stability back there, but I do think it's a positive. Yeah.
I had a feeling if Ekblad hit the market, I really thought they might have been a great.
I still am convinced if he goes market, he goes Utah.
You think he want to win Utah? Yeah, Utah.
Going to Utah. And the only reason I say that is because Kesselring got traded, a right-hand shot, and they needed a partner for Sergachev. Yeah. So when Kesselring got traded to Buffalo, I thought, boy, Ekblad's going to be going to Utah because they're going to roll out the Brinks trucks.
That makes no sense. Yeah.
Just by the way, they need a partner for Sergachev.
Yep.
You know, and Kesselring had an amazing year last year. That's a career year for him. Yeah. If he can do the same thing in Buffalo, that trade's going to look all right. But if he can't, that trade's going to look a little off-colored.
And by the way, speaking of Utah, congratulations to another Matt Cater client, Nate Schmidt, landing a job there.
Hey, Matt had a hell of a day yesterday, like a lot of agents did. But Matt did a really good job for a lot of his, guys. It looked like a year or two ago they weren't going to be in the league.
Yeah.
Nate was teetering.
Yep.
Nate went down there and played his butt off. So, no, I'm really happy for Matt and all the Cater clients out there. It's good.
By the way, before we move on from that too, Pierre, when I was watching the TSN free agent frenzy, McKenzie, he made a great point. He said, think about what's gone on there on the defense there, where 2 years straight, they brought in a guy basically at the league minimum, and he parlayed that into a 3-year contract around $3 to $4 million. It was Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Nate Schmidt. And now, they did the same thing with Jeff Petrie yesterday. He goes, Jeff Petrie's going to have a great year.
Well, you know what? Don't forget, too. So they lost Oliver Ekman-Larsson and Brandon Montour.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to hurt them.
And
I thought getting Nate helped, but Kulikov played with Nate a lot.
Oh, my gosh.
And there were times when he was a little lost in the regular season, but in the playoffs, he buckled up and got it done. But the Big Finn, oh my gosh, he was so good for them. Wow. I mean,
what scouting that was.
So he drafted by St. Louis, moved to New York, not good enough in either place, and then a top 4 guy for Florida Panthers.
All right, next question. Ethan Russell, what's up, Ethan? Takeaways from the Bruins conference, press conference yesterday. I'm sick of the lies. I don't blame you, Ethan. We're baffled. That's all we'll say.
No, but I'm not. Can I just say this, Jimmy? Yeah. I don't know if it's lies. I don't think they're lying. I
wouldn't say it's lies. I think there's some spin going on, Pierre.
I think they're spinning.
Yeah.
I also think they've overrated some of their internal players, but I don't think they're lying about it.
So but if I'm a fan, Pierre, if that's the case, then I'm even more worried.
Well, yeah, you're allowed to be worried, but a lot of teams overrate their players, and that's why they get into messes.
Yep.
The hardest thing to do when you draft a young man and you cultivate him and you develop a relationship with him, with his agent, with his parents, you're always there to help him. And then all of a sudden you get to the day where you're like, you know what? He's not as good as we thought, or he's not going to be able to help us the way we thought he would. Then you got to move on from that person. That's hard to do, Jimmy.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to do. I've had to do it. I can tell you and I've done it, but I can tell you it's not easy to do.
No, I'm with you. I'm just at the point, Pierre, where I keep thinking about the problem is I don't think Jacobs would ever allow it, but I keep thinking back to Jeff Gorton in 2018 with the Rangers and the famous letter to the fans.
That's not happening in Boston.
That's not happening in Boston. But do you agree that it would be great if it could? Because I think that's exactly what they need.
Yes.
Right now.
Yeah,
all right.
But that's not happening in Boston.
I agree. Next question. Kit Norton, what current star player needs the Bowman Stevie Y treatment, i.e. sacrifice points and personal accomplishment to get over the hump and win? That's a good question.
I know one.
We were talking about one like a few weeks back. Well,
I know
one. Go ahead, Pierre.
I'm not saying it.
Ugh, it's killing me. I don't my tongue right now.
Fighting our last show with a guy that I like, but I know one. Let's put it this way. I'll make it simple. He does not play in a Canadian city, so it's not McDavid.
Okay.
He does not. There's 7 Canadian teams. The guy I'm thinking of does not play in a Canadian city.
And it's not Matthews either. That's another guy that I think people would point out.
No, that's a Canadian city. It's not Austin.
Matthews plays great defensively. Yeah,
I'm not going to say
off the top of my tongue, I can't think of it, but it's a good question.
It's a very good. It's an easy answer for me. I'm telling you, but I can't. Do it.
Pierre is. Let me ask you though, like, is the what's the word? How do I say this? Is the climate around today's generation of players, is it too sensitive for that conversation?
No, the best guys. That's what I love about the best guys in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They're not sensitive.
Okay.
If I was on the inside with the team that I'm thinking of and the player,
yep.
I would have the conversation with them.
And you're straight.
No
you're not mean. You're just straightforward.
Though. Straightforward. Yeah. Sit down, probably over dinner. Maybe over a beer at his. I'd go to his house probably if just say,
yep.
Go to your house. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Put on his turf, not on mine. But no, I don't think the best guy. I think I've told you this story before. It's one of the reasons why I really respect Mike Modano. I let him have it on a Dallas broadcast once. I was working with Gordon Miller, and he was no good. He was bad. Maybe one of the worst games I ever saw him play.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of punched him in the pants pretty hard on the broadcast. And after I was done, I walked right down to the Dallas Stars locker room door until it was open to the media. And I walked right over to Mike. And I said, Mike, before you go on your cell phone, before anybody tells you, before anybody asks you, I want you to know what I said about you.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked right at me. And you know what he said? I deserved it.
That's
awesome. Terrible.
That's awesome.
I thought
I love to hear that. That's awesome.
I went there because I wanted him to know we'd always had a good relationship.
Yep.
Always very respectful towards him, and he treated me very, very well. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to. I said, I want you to know this is what I said about you. And Mike's unbelievable. Was an unbelievable player.
That's what I appreciate you about Pierre. You're straightforward. You're fair. That's why I respect you. All right, next question. Eric, question for Pierre. Who would have picked at the 3rd spot in the draft? Who would have been picked? Desnoyers, Frundell? Desnoyers or Frundell? I think he would have moved in.
So this is really, I know who Eric is, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a smart hockey guy. Very good question.
You called it, Pierre. He rose fast.
I would have taken Desnoyers. So why I would have taken Desnoyers is because he played most of this year with an injured wrist.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't really revealed, and he really did well.
Got it out, yeah.
And he's just going to get heavier and bigger. I think Frundell's good. I think he'll be a lot like Anton Lundell, no relation. I just wish, and he will this year, he'll play in the SHL this year, the Swedish Hockey League. Last year he played in the Allsvenskan, which is a little bit below. What Desnoyers did with Moncton was phenomenal. So I would have taken Desnoyers. That's what I would have taken.
Next question. K-Bro, if one Habs defenseman gets traded before the start of next season, will it be Jack Guy or Struble or someone else? I hate to say it here because I like the player a lot. I think it would be Struble.
I'm going to agree with Jimmy.
And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just answering.
I'm going to agree with Jimmy. The only caveat to that is if the Canadiens really desperately need a second center, they may have to trade Mike Matheson.
Yep. Because unlike people think, Mike Matheson has a lot of value. There you go. All right, next question. Gabriel Lamb, any word on Ehlers? We just saw there's a lot of, like we said earlier in the show, it looks like Carolina or Washington, but we'll see. That's all we keep hearing. That's probably what you see. By the way, Randy Workman, if you're talking about a guy that needs a good speech and you said Eichel, I disagree. He won a cup. Maybe before that time he did need that speech, but all right, next question. Zahal, Jimmy, how do you feel about Cavalin ELC? If Bussy didn't fit in Boston's plans anymore, where does Cavalin fit? I don't know enough about him, Zahal, so I apologize. I can't really answer that. I did have a feeling they move on from Bussy.
Didn't they address this, though? They got DiPietro signed.
They did, but they let his backup.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah. So, DiPietro's the guy in Providence. That's it.
Well,
for
they're paying him one-way money. So the reason why I think they're paying him one-way money is because they want him to clear waivers.
Yep.
If they send him down, but what happens if I think he's going to beat out Korpisalo personally.
You just
and
took
if he
the
beats
words
out
out of my mouth.
Korpisalo's going to go on waivers, and guess what? Nobody's claiming that guy.
Yeah. We'll talk off air. Something I know. All right, next question. Gerb 76 PK. With Dvorak gone, who's helping Suzuki with the face-offs besides Evans? That's not enough. Can Hughes use his Patrice Bergeron connection to train Habs centers?
No, because Bergeron's working for Boston, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I think don't sell Owen Beck short because I think he can do well in the face-off circle. And I still think they're going to get a centerman.
All right. Next question. SYNR. Question. Hi, Pierre. Hi, Jimmy. Should the Habs target Dylan Larkin, who appeared to be disgruntled with management in the end of the season media availability? I forgot about that. Yzerman is a vulnerable GM right now.
I would love to see Dylan Larkin in Montreal, but I don't think that will happen. I don't think they'd trade him within the division. I can only speak to that from experience because I can tell you right now, when I was in a different position, not working with Jimmy, we tried to get Dylan Larkin.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting. I was thinking reverse. Is Yzerman going to try and get a compliment at center to him? Because I just feel like he's more of a 1A, 1B where you shift him back and forth here. Larkin, I think he's an amazing player, but if they could get, we'll see. All right.
So what you're going to do, this is for the people at home.
Yeah.
Pull up Detroit's roster.
Okay.
I do this with Jimmy all the time.
Yeah. He's going to help me solve the spinning in my head right now.
Give me their 4-center iceman. Go look at their 4-center iceman. Go to Puckpedia.
Yeah, I'm right there.
Okay.
So we got Larkin.
Yep.
Casper.
Yep.
Confer.
Yep.
And Rasmussen.
That's slotted really well.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, that's slotted really well. Confer in the 3 holes really slotted well.
Mm-hmm.
Marco Casper is so undervalued. He's a really good player, Jimmy. He's going to have a really solid, good career in this league. And nobody gives Yzerman, Horkoff, Draper, any of those guys any credit.
Yeah.
That took courage to draft that kid there.
Oh, yeah.
An Austrian kid playing up in Sweden. He's a good player.
That was a great find. No, I like their center position. I don't know. I always felt like if they had a really big time 1C Pierre, I just think Larkin would be even better than he is. I'm not saying Larkin.
Oh, no, I'm not arguing, but you got to say Confer in the 3 holes.
Yeah, that's
a 3-hole player. Big. And then Rasmussen's a gigantic, Titanic-sized guy. That's a good 4C.
I'm looking at, you know what, Pierre?
Marco Casper, what did he get for points last year, Jimmy?
He got, I'll tell you right now, he had a great year. 37 points. 19 goals, 18 assists.
So like
72 games.
Yeah, playing in the 2-0. Watch what happens this year. He's going to go over 50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They need wingers, actually, now that I'm looking at it.
They do. That's why I do. See, this is why, and Jimmy knows.
Thank you for opening my eyes.
We look at, and then I say, okay, now what do they need? And then he says,
yeah, because as I was looking, my eyes went wide, and I'm like, oh, that's where they are. Okay. All right. Next question. We got, let's do 3 more.
Okay.
And we got to go because Shane's got to do another show.
Yep.
He's a maniac. God bless him. Jacob Perez, it's my opinion. Jacob Dobis has all the traits to become a long-term starter. Regardless of Fowler, should Montreal try to lock him to a 4 to 5 year deal while the AAV can be low still?
I think it's a really smart way to look at things. I do. Because I think Fowler will eventually, they could have an amazing 1-2 punch with Dobis and Fowler. No, that's a really smart. What was the gentleman's name that sent that?
Jacob Lopez, I believe.
Fantastic point. That's how I would try to pursue it. I think it's really smart.
You can, like he said, you can get him low right now. All right, next question. There we go. Buquifius, 2-faceted question. Will Laine resign in Montreal? And what will his fit be? I.e., can anyone speak on Laine's character and the way he may feel regarding Montreal and the acceptance he's seen?
I think
I think he loves it there.
Yeah, he's very happy in Montreal. They've treated him really well. They know the strengths and weaknesses of the person.
Yep.
They know the strengths and weaknesses of the player. They're trying to make the weaknesses strengths. So no, I don't see anything wrong with it. In terms of fit for contract, I have a hard time going deep on that. I would
just go 1 year.
Yeah, maybe I'd go a little longer than that. I might do 3 because if you do it at the right number, 3 you can still potentially trade him.
Go with the,
But I would not do no such thing as no trade, no move. Sorry, I'm not a big believer in that, but that's off the table.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I just want to point out too, Pierre, and you were the one who pointed it out to a lot of people in Montreal here and on Tony's show. When he was hurt and playing injured, and I know that I'm saying this because they said, can you speak to his character? Pierre said it, lay off. He's hurt. He's injured. And we saw then, we remember that video, Pierre, during the playoffs when he was sitting in the locker room, he couldn't even lift his wrist really.
Yeah.
He played through that.
A lot of people had a backtrack on that one. And that's why I said, just take it easy. The guy's hurt. Like, calm down.
He proved his toughness there.
He did. I agree with you, Jimmy. I agree.
Next question. Dave Dunks. What do you guys think of the Ottawa Senators off season so far? Has Stales done enough for them to make a step?
I think keeping Giroux helps. I'm just okay. I'm just okay with where they are right now. I mean, I think they're a playoff team.
Yeah. I don't think they're any worse anywhere.
No, they didn't go backwards.
And the young guys are only going to get better. So
yeah, no, I agree with that. But they still got work to do. And I know they really like Linus Ullmark. I understand that. But losing Gus, Forsberg, Forsberg's a good goalie. Like, he's a really good backup. Good team. Really good team.
Yeah.
He's signed in LA.
Yep.
I'm happy for him.
They still have Sogard though, right?
Sogard and Marilainen. They got both.
Okay. All right. Next question. This will be our final one. Social Mako. What do you think about Kings prospect Liam Greentree? Pierre, I don't know much about him. If you want to take it. Not
really. No, right. I don't know enough.
We'll do one more then, since we couldn't answer that. Mike Gaudette, when Reinbacher makes Montreal, do you think Matheson will play on the third pairing or be traded?
Well, one's playing on the right side, one's playing on the left side. So that would.
It won't affect each other as much.
I think now with Mayu gone, I'd be shocked if Reinbacher doesn't make the team. I think they were really impressed with the way Reinbacher played in the American Hockey League playoffs. Mm-hmm. And this goes back to everything we talked about with the American Hockey League. It's a really big-time league. And if you run your team properly, you have a chance to really cultivate assets. It's a huge thing. Jimmy, I know you know this, but this is for our listeners. When I was in Ottawa the second time around, I spent so much time with our coaches and our players down there because I saw we had a whack of guys coming along that were really good, but just wanted our coaches to know how appreciative we were as a management team for the extra work they were doing with these guys. Yeah. I would go on the road with them. I'd take them out for dinner. They would take me out for dinner. We would spend time talking about hockey. I loved the players there. Mark Kastelik was one of those players. There were so many. Thought the world of all these guys, really special guys. They all worked their butts off. And I think it's an amazing thing when you get players that we're just talking about now with Montreal, like Reinbacher, like Owen Beck, like Jacob Fowl, like Jakob Dobish. Like, it's fun to see those guys mature.
Yep. It's great when everyone's on the same page. That's key. Well, that's it, everybody. We want to thank Shane. We know he's got to get off to another podcast right now. Thanks to him for his amazing work this season. Pierre, great season. We're going to be on once a week now going forward for the summer. So we'll be back here next Wednesday night or Wednesday afternoon, same time, 4:00. Everybody out there, enjoy your holiday if you're American, and continue to enjoy it if you're Canadian. And Pierre, I just want to wish a congratulations to you and your family and your son Ryan on making a 2-way contract with the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jimmy. We're really excited and proud for Ryan. And hey, he had a great time with the playoff run last year, first time pro. Now, I told him this afternoon, I said, that's part of the journey. Now you need to take the next step. There's different phases to the thing. So yeah, we're excited for him.
Yeah, should be great for him. So
thank you. Thank you for saying that, Jimmy.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for what you said for my friend Jeff and to his family watching. We're thinking of you. Everybody out there, enjoy the weather, and we will talk to you next week on Wednesday here on the Eye Test on the Sick Podcast Network.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.